Hey, this is Dan of Vagabond Buddha. I'm going to discuss Guadalajara, Mexico, retire cheap in paradise, low cost of living. There's no need to write anything down now, though. Just click the link below this YouTube video and you'll find our webpage. It contains all this information, including Guadalajara, low cost of living, retire cheap in paradise, best Old Town walking tour, best day tours, best nightlife, best restaurants, cheap hotels, flights, buses, and trains, along with a link for our best travel or retired cheap to paradise locations in the world. Guadalajara, Mexico. This is Dan of Vagabond Buddha. Here's my Guadalajara, Mexico retire cheap in paradise post. I'm going to show you pictures of Guadalajara and surrounding areas as I discuss this beautiful location. I'm on the hunt for the perfect place to live in the world. I've been hunting since 2007. I've been to 64 countries so far. I'm from the USA, but haven't really lived there since I left 11 years ago. I go home once a year or so to visit family for a few weeks, but mostly I travel and share the best places to retire or live. Before discussing what the Guadalajara and surrounding areas of Mexico offer in terms of living or retiring cheap, let's learn more about what it's like in this part of the world. Here are some fun facts we found on Wikipedia about Guadalajara. Guadalajara has 5 million people in the metropolitan area, making it the second largest city in Mexico, second only to Mexico City. Mexico calls Guadalajara the Silicon Valley of Mexico because many technology companies have operations here. Guadalajara is famous for mariachi, tequila, and ceramic pottery. From various sources online, I estimate that about 10% of the Americans living in Mexico are in Guadalajara and nearby Chapala and 𝐴𝐻𝐿. It snows in Guadalajara every 100 years. It last snowed in 1997. Before that, it was 1881. There are 1 million Americans living in Mexico. Best Old Town walking tour and map of Guadalajara. There's a Old Town walking tour here, a Google link provided. Just click it and start walking. The first stop is Plaza de Armas. Plaza de Armas is the cultural heart of Guadalajara. It's surrounded by the cathedral and governor's palace. Like other central plazas in Mexico, this is also where the locals gather to gossip, so you can get a good idea of everyday life in Guadalajara by just sitting and watching people. There are actually 4 plazas around the cathedral. There are free concerts, at least one of them in one of the plazas on Thursday and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Guadalajara, the cathedral. Like most cathedrals built in colonial era earthquake country, the Guadalajara Cathedral has been rebuilt several times. It was destroyed by fire in 1531. The second attempt, completed in 1618, was destroyed by an earthquake in 1820 and then again in 1840. Although still standing now, it's been damaged multiple earthquakes in the last 150 years. No indigenous temples were destroyed to construct the cathedral. This fact knocks holes in my earlier comments I made in Cusco and Mexico City that God must be angry at the Europeans for destroying sacred ground. This one suffers during earthquakes, even though no sacred ground was destroyed to create it. On the north side of the cathedral is the Rotunda of Illustrious Men. A circular memorial with 17 columns surrounds 98 urns containing the remains of honored Mexican people. Palace of the State Governor. The governor's palace was completed in 1790, just 20 years before Mexican independence. The previous version was completed in 1643, was constructed more modestly of adobe. The palace became Hidalgo's home, the father of independence, in 1810. It's also where Hidalgo abolished slavery. There are 2 murals by Jose Clemente Orozco that you must see in the palace. One is of Hidalgo's cry for independence, and the other shows Hidalgo signing the decree to abolish slavery. President Benito Juarez ran the executive branch of the Mexican government here in Guadalajara in 1858. Juarez was the only indigenous president of Mexico. The rest have all been descendants of colonials. The mural shown shows Juarez signing Reforma, Mexico's law separating church and state. If you're enjoying this, could you please like it or share on social media, comment below, or subscribe? Your approval will rank us higher in search engines. Next on the Google Maps walking tour, the Street of Weddings on Calle Pedro Moreno. Hopefully the Google Maps walking tour will walk you down the Calle Pedro Moreno. Every store on the street sells formal wear and accessories such as wedding dresses, christening dresses, and quinceañeras dresses. That's quinceañeras is a celebration when a girl turns 15 years old. In Mexico, she's able to date, so they have a party. Plaza de los Mariachis. As the cultural capital of Mexico, Guadalajara is the home of mariachi music. Mariachi bands come here to feature their music for free in the afternoon so they can find work. Your chances are better to hear live music here in the late afternoon or early evening after the siesta. Next on the tour, Mercado Libertad, San Juan de Dios. If you've never been to a traditional market in Mexico, this is where you want to go. You'll find almost everything you can imagine here. There are also many family-run restaurants serving recipes from all over Mexico, so you can get an idea of what Mexicans eat in daily life. There are many delicious meals here for $1 to $3 USD per person. Paseo Hospicio. Enjoy this beautiful fountain and pedestrian boulevard as you stroll along. Grab a park bench and people watch for a time, then head to the next stop on the Google Maps walking tour. Melting Magicians. These bronze sculptures are directly in front of the next stop, Cultural Institute of Cabanas. They were created by Alejandro Colunga. Each bronze sculpture is a magician melting into furniture. Bring your camera. Cultural Institute of the Cabanas. This is an old hospital built in 1791 by former Bishop Juan Ruiz de Cabanas. There are over 100 rooms and 20 patios. Make sure to see Jose Clemente Orozco's Man of Fire and other murals inside the chapel. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. When you tour this cabanas, let them know you only speak English, and there's a wonderful tour guide there that just works for tips. We tipped him 100 pesos, which is $5 for 2 people. Degollado Theater and Plaza de Liberación. The Degollado Theater was built in 1860 by then Governor Santo Degollado. The Corinthian columns and roof-line muses are reminiscent of Greek construction. Go inside and see how elaborate the decorations and paintings are that adorn the walls. Also, check the playbill to see what performances are happening while you are in town. Across the street in the plaza, look for the statue of Hidalgo, father of independence, breaking the chains of oppression. That completes our Old Town walking tour. Best day tours and map of Guadalajara. There's guided gringo tours. Get Your Guide has a bunch of great tours, and so does Viador. Just click the link to see the tours. Then there's 3 self-guided, I call them cheap bastard tours. If you have more time than money, here are 3 self-guided day tours around Guadalajara. The first, the cheapest tequila Mexico tour. It's $18. Here's the link to the cheapest tequila Mexico tour. Tequila City is where tequila alcohol originates. If you have more time than money, do our free self-guided tequila tour. This is not a gringo tour. This is how the locals roll. Click this link to find out more. All of these links are on our webpage. Just click the link in the notes below this YouTube video. The next self-guided tour is the cheapest Lake Chapala and 𝐻𝐒 Mexico walking tour. There's a link here for walking tours for both Chapala and 𝐻𝐒 and how to get there by bus. And the whole thing is a day tour and is quite reasonable. Just click the link and go on the tour. If you're enjoying this, could you please like it share on social media, or comment below, or subscribe. Your interaction will rank us higher in search engines. Okay, the third self-guided tour is Tlaquepeque Pottery and Art Walking Tour. Tlaquepeque is a neighborhood in Guadalajara famous for its pottery and blown glass. While there, you must see El Parian. It's a plaza lined with column arcades and is surrounded by restaurants and bars. Quite charming. You must also see El Jardín Hidalgo, the square named after Father of Independence. You must also see El Santuario de Nuestra Señora. It's a church right in the main square. There's another church you should see, San Peter, and also Benito Juárez's market. If you've seen the traditional markets, check out Centro Cultural El Refugio, a palace built by a former bishop for raising local orphans that has been turned into a cultural center for exhibits and performances. Also, visit the Regional Ceramic Museum displaying Tlaquepeque famous ceramics. Finally, take a stroll down Calle Independence and decide whether you want to sit in a cafe and people watch or shop for souvenirs. You can get an Uber from Guadalajara Centro to Tlaquepeque Centro for about 107 pesos or $5.50. Once there, just click the link and all the things I mentioned will be on this Google Maps walking tour for free. Okay, best free nightlife walking tour and map of Guadalajara bar hopping. Here's a free Google map of Guadalajara showing our best nightlife and bar hopping tour. Just click the link on your smartphone and start our tour. The truth is we didn't actually go to every one of these 8 bars. We only went to 2 on the evening of the tour. But the lovely thing about this walk is that there's a park right in the middle of the street. So you can walk in the park and listen to the music and the crowd that each bar or venue draws. There are even people salsa dancing in the middle of the park. We even saw a few people just having a beer right in the park benches. You're surrounded by lights, people, bars, and even police. It seems safe to us. Just click the link and go on our free bar hopping tour. Next, best restaurants in Guadalajara. We have a best breakfast restaurant we're recommending. We have a best authentic Mexican service and food. We have best vegetarian, best Italian, another best vegetarian, and a best Mexican restaurant in the city. Also, there's a best and cheap hotels in Guadalajara. If you're a person that loves walking, this is where you have to think a little. If you have a car or don't mind taking Uber taxis everywhere, location won't be such an issue. We had been staying in colonial-era towns for the last few months. We've loved walking everywhere. Cars are a big headache once you have lived without them. It's not really possible to live without cars or buses in Guadalajara. Guadalajara is a car place, like Los Angeles or Vegas in the USA. It's not a walking place like London, New York, or Portland, Oregon. I have no easy answer to this. If I were to go again, I would try to stay between the nightlife walking area and Old Town Guadalajara. That won't get you out of a car completely, but it will reduce your dependency considerably. I provided a link for the neighborhood I'm talking about. Then there's some suggestions for hotels going from very expensive to cheap, even including a hostel and an Airbnb apartment. Just click the link, pick a spot, and they're all great spots. I started living internationally over 11 years ago. If you'd like to learn how to make money online or how to live internationally, possibly with less money than you spend at home, please subscribe to Vagabond Buddha or get a free copy of my ebook, Best Flights, Buses, and Trains. We just spent 2 weeks in colonial villages in Mexico before showing up in Guadalajara. The cool thing about colonial villages is their old town areas are walkable, so you don't need to get in a car. You can fly into Guadalajara International Airport, then catch an Uber to your accommodations. The best Skyscanner is the best company to use to get the cheapest flight. You always are going to get the cheapest flights with Skyscanner, and you're going to get the even cheaper flights if you depart on a Tuesday or Wednesday generally. That's true for both international and national flights. Buses. There's 2 bus companies, links provided here. They have buses throughout Mexico to Guadalajara. You can visit, one of them has English speaking, the other one you can right-click in your browser and it will translate it into English. I always check bus prices and flights on Skyscanner before making a decision when I'm arriving at a place nationally. Uber. I use Uber when I'm in Mexico. I like the international record of who picked me up and who dropped me off and where. Plus I know the license plate number when they arrive. Plus I don't have to negotiate price or explain my destination in Spanish. Trains. There's just one passenger train still running in Mexico, and it does not go to Guadalajara. If you book my recommendations, flights, or tours, you'll pay nothing extra, but will earn a small commission. Okay, cost of living in Guadalajara, Mexico. Guadalajara, Mexico is a really cheap place to live. And let me tell you about that. I travel the world and I collect data about the cost of living. I've been to 64 countries. These days, I'm outside of my home 11 months of the year. This post has the cost of living data for Guadalajara, Mexico. If you click the link below this video, you'll get a table that shows that, called Guadalajara, Mexico, Low Cost of Living. I'm searching for the best place to live in the world. Once I find that, I'll settle down for 6 months of the year, and I'll travel the other 6 months. There's a picture of the place. We're here in Guadalajara now, and paying $19 per night. Just click our best hotels, and you'll see what the place looks like. Livability factors. I'm looking for a great place to live. I also like saving money wherever I can. In fact, that is what has given me so much freedom to travel. When you aren't hemorrhaging money so fast in places like the USA or Western Europe, you have less stress in your life. But the quality of life means more than just saving money. Here are the other things I consider when I find a place that might be livable. Walkability. I love to be able to walk everywhere without getting in a car or bus. This is where Guadalajara loses me. This city is so spread out that you're unlikely to be able to go more than a few days without getting into a vehicle. The Uber taxis are cheap, no doubt, but they add up if you use them several times per week. Plus, you're stuck in a car an hour or 2 per day. This one thing bugs me so much, I would not consider living in Guadalajara. If you like having a car around, this shouldn't be an issue for you. Just make sure to get a place where your car is behind a gate off the street. Internet. Our Wi-Fi connection in our Airbnb apartment is fabulous. Food. Guadalajara has everything you could imagine to eat. This is a world-class city in the food department. If you're enjoying this video, could you please like it, share in social media, or comment below, or subscribe? Your interaction will rank us higher in search engines. Weather. I love the weather here in Guadalajara, Mexico. The warmest month is May. The average high for the day in May is 89 Fahrenheit, or 32 Celsius. The average low at night in May is 57 Fahrenheit, or 14 Celsius. It generally cools down at night in the summer due to the elevation, 1566 meters, or 5,000 feet above sea level. The coolest month of the year is January. The average low at night in January is 44 Fahrenheit, or 7 Celsius. The average high for the day in January is 75 Fahrenheit, or 24 Celsius, so it remains warm even in the winter. Its rainy season is June through September, when it rains 6 to 10 inches per month. Totally manageable. There's not much rain the rest of the year. Things to do. There are all sorts of things to do in town. As Mexico's second largest city, there's a very active nightlife. If you'd like live music, concerts, theater, modern dance, etc. Plus, you're only a few hours from many other fascinating places for long weekends, such as Puerto Vallarta, Chapala, etc. Also, please click the above link, Old Town Walking Tour, or Best Day Tours to see more things to do. Social considerations. There are not as many expats here as a percentage of the population as other places such as nearby San Miguel de Allende or Chapala, Ajijic. You should learn Spanish for sure if you want to have a full life here in Guadalajara. That will be necessary if you want to call this home. Desire to move here. Low. The fact that the town is spread out and you need a car is a deal killer for me. Here are my estimated costs of living for 1 month in Guadalajara, Mexico as a temporary visitor. If you rented a furnished apartment for the month, it could be cheaper. You can rent a furnished 1-bedroom apartment ranging from about $400 to $900 USD dollars per month, depending on how modern and how close you want to be to the best areas. So the monthly cost of living here ranges for a low of almost $600 for a backpacker type lifestyle, all the way up to about $1,100 for a more common lifestyle. For more information about these cost of living monthly multiplier, just click the link below this YouTube video and you'll find out how these numbers are calculated. The above medium cost of living is slightly more than the high because I'm using a furnished apartment rental price of $600 per month. This might require you to negotiate for a period of more than 1 month, depending on the area. We go to Puerto Vallarta next. Please subscribe if you'd like to receive the cost of living estimates when we go there. This is Dan of Vagabond Buddha. Thank you for listening to our video. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner?